Good morning, everybody. It's me, Paddy from across the shuck, and you're very welcome back to the channel. And the title will be somewhere along the lines: buying secondhand can save you not just a couple of pounds, it can save you hundreds of pounds sometimes. And it's the only way that I've been able to build up my collection I have, which is not extensive compared to an awful lot of people, but to me it is. And I've done that by trading and buying secondhand. That's the best two ways to get a collection that's up from the basic collection. And I'm talking about people. I don't have a lot of money. I have a lot of expensive knives. Now, to me, now again, your wealth is your own thing. But it doesn't matter how much you've got. If you buy secondhand, you can move yourself up a grade or two grades in the knives that you can have in your collection. It's as simple as that. And I know I'm probably telling an awful lot of people how to suck eggs, but it's just for those out there that are maybe, I hear an awful lot in the comments, yeah, that's all right, but I can't afford that. And that's fine. I mean, people cannot, I can't afford a Ferrari. I run about in a Hyundai. It's great. It gets me where I want to go. It's perfect. Keeps me dry in the wet. That's what I've got. And that's what I can afford. But knives and a collection, if you're collecting knives, the best way that I've found to get more expensive knives or an upgrade on what I already have without spending the fortune is to trade and add to, a couple of quid to that you would buy, one of your knives. Trade and put the extra few quid on it, and you can move up and get better standards of knives. Now, better standards of knives does not always mean it's the best knife ever, but it is an upgrade on what I was currently using, my trades. And I'm going to show a couple of examples. And then another really important thing, when you buy a second-hand knife, you're more likely to use it. And for me, and not for everybody, but for me, that was the thing. When I had expensive knives, I didn't like using them. But when I started buying second-hand and trade knives, I started using more of my high-end knives. And that's been a joy, because not only when you spend more money, if you're spending more money on a knife, you'd like to think you're getting a better knife, because otherwise, what would be the point? So I do think, up to a certain point, but the more money you spend, you will get a better product if you shop wisely for yourself, not for anybody else. I'm getting bogged down in the weeds here, aren't I? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And I wanted to show some of the knives that I upgraded to because I got them at a price that made it possible for me. And this is just my price range, not yours. But I just want you to see the difference. GEC, there's always an awful lot of talk, if you're a slip joint collector, GEC, how hard they are to get, how expensive they're becoming. And for their quality, I don't believe they're too expensive. That's simply, there's a simple fact. I believe, because I love the way their fit and finish is. And yeah, they've had little periods where it's gone up and down, but all knife companies, I think, go through that. But GEC over the years have just proved their worth. And they're easy to move on. You can trade them in, or you can sell them if you need a bit of money to buy something else. You'll not always get what you paid for it. Never buy a knife because you think you're going to make profit from it. That is disaster written all over it. And I have seen it so many times on YouTube where people overstretch themselves and then all of a sudden they disappear and they've had to sell all their knives because they've overspent. So that's not the best idea. If again, knife buyers, knife collectors are two different things. I buy knives, and I used to buy an awful lot of knives for the channel. And I found out that was just a waste of my money, because half the knives I were buying, yeah, they were all right and I liked them, but they were not something I wanted to keep forever. So they move on. And that's a great way of doing that. If you want to get a selection of knives for a YouTube channel, is buy them, move them on, take a little bit of a bath, but you're not spending a fortune. So here's three that I've picked to show you. And there's another secondary reason that I wanted to talk about. And it's probably for a lot of old farts out there who collect knives that it's changed my way of buying and using. So I'm going to start with this one. This was a GEC. This is my first GEC. I bought it secondhand off a lovely gentleman in America who told me everything about it and was just straight up front. You can see, look, this is probably my most carried and used knife. It is just a beautiful knife. It's a 78 pattern American Jack. It's just a stunning knife. Now, this knife has been black about 3 or 4 times, and I have cleaned it off, and it's now starting to get a new patina because I'm not rushing to get a patina on it. Yes, I've got a couple of hard things with it, but I think are hot things with it, which does get the bolster, but not that many this time. I have other knives that I use for that, but I've cut hot sandwiches, bits of toast, and when I've been out, things like that. So it'll take a while to build up that patina again. And whereas it might look a bit mucky to some people, I just love this look in my knife. It's not something I try for, I just let it happen. Um, and I'm amazed. I see some people that have all these magic colours through their knives. Yeah, sometimes if I hold this at different, when the hot goes on it. But I mean, most of the time, it just turns a mucky grey. That's my experience. I don't know how you get all these beautiful colours all the way through. It's just not something I've experienced. So, but that's it. I bought this second hand. The man I bought it off told me everything about it. He said it's a little bit off centre, and look, there's still a complete gap down that side. Uh, there's a gap down that side as well. It's just that little bit off centre, but it has never moved in probably 6 years I've had this. I've never used it, and I've hard used it. I've put it under some torque and all. It's never moved from that position since I got it, which is perfect. As long as it's not touching the sides, to me, even if it touches the side, it's not the end of the world. But this is just a beautiful knife. It's only got a bit of 6 pull, but it's absolutely fine. That's lovely for an everyday carry knife. Again, I love the GEC, the ricasso they give you. These are all the things that make a knife stand out. The bone on it. This is just beautiful. Cranberry jig. And that lovely deep, look how deep that is. And how exactly it's the way the die is taken. There's no gaps in it. There's no white bits, no nothing. It's got that easy sort of smooth bit here that is put into it. But that's more so you can feel nothing in the transitions. It's got the beautiful titty shield. I just love that. This is a basic model, as basic as GEC go on their pocket knives. It's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And a knife that I'll cherish and keep using because I just love the feel of it. It's a beautiful knife in hand, single blade, which I really do love. Although I'm getting into double blades, which I'll talk about in a minute. I just adore this knife. And this will never leave my collection because it's my user. Let's jump from slip joints, traditional slip joints, to modern knives. Here's another one I bought in a second-hand market. This is a Spidey Chef. The fella who had done it had looked after it. You can see there's next to no use been on it. But it's got a fantastic edge on it. It has been stone washed, and it has also been, acid washed. The blade and the handle have been acid washed and tumbled, and it just makes it look stupendous. I love the look of this. They normally come all nice, bright and shiny with smooth. This has been used. You can just see this. This has had some use before even I got it, and now I use it all the time, whether I'm out camping or in the kitchen. I love this knife. Not particularly thin, but it comes down to a thin enough edge. It's a lovely slicer because it has a full flat grind. There's nothing to stop it going through material. Just a beautiful knife. And yes, it's got a Spidey hole and you can flick it and do all sorts of things. But here's the thing that I like about it, is that it's not really, you see all you've got there for the thumb. Now, I can do it, but what's the point? I have no interest in doing that. I just pull it open like that. When I'm using it, I just literally pull it open, cut it, disengage the lock and put it in. That's what I do most of the time. So I just adore this knife. Nice deep carry pocket clip on it. It's just a stunning knife, the Spidey Chef. Highly recommend it if you ever get a chance to get one. So I got this at about £130 cheaper than what I could buy it for in Heine Haynes. They're about $3.40 in Heine Haynes. I got this for £2. And literally, there's nothing been taken off that blade that's worth talking about. It's been used for, or not used, for light tasks. And that's what I'm using on it, although I do take it out to the woods with me. But I don't batter it. It's not one I'm taking for, splitting wood or anything. So I got this at £140 cheaper than what a new one will cost me. And I use it because it's not a brand new £340 knife. It had use on it, so that takes the pressure away. And I enjoy having it in my collection. And at £200, I can keep it there. I've had a couple of them. This doesn't mean you can't pass them on and trade them on, because I've had, two of these. So this one's staying because I just love the fact that it's been stone washed and acid washed. It just changes the look of it, and it makes it so usable. Because from a distance, you would swear that was a new knife. It's lovely. And here's the third one I'm going to talk about. This is this is on marbles, made in the USA, and it is just the most gorgeous knife. I'll show you the knife first. Look at the fit and finish. We're used to marbles that you get from made in China. This one's made in the USA, and the fit and finish in this is amazing. And also, if I open this up for you, it tells you the date on it. So this is a marbles from Gladstone, Michigan, USA, and it was made in '01. This is a special run made in the USA, and I think it was made by Queen. It's very much a Queen type blade, and I love this chevron sort of pattern that it has going up it, or crow's feet, whatever you want to call it, going up the bone, and it's just jigged. Oh, beautifully jigged. It's got a shield. I don't think it's pinned. I've had a look, and it might be. I can't definitely say it's pinned, but it doesn't matter. It's a beautiful shield. I love the long pull with the match strike on it. I love the swedge on the spear. The spear has the most beautiful spear on it. It's got a great point. I mean, a lot of spear points don't have that genuine point on it that this has. Beautiful. Again, this was in absolutely mint condition. I don't think it had ever been used before I got it, or if it had, it was very, very light use. I put an edge on it, not particularly thin. It's a bit thickish behind the edge, but it's in 1095, so it takes no time to sharpen it at all. A beautiful, beautiful spear point in hand, completely comfortable. I don't feel this at all in my hand because I can get up here. I don't feel it at all, so I can work all day. I love the easy opening notch, and then the smaller pen blade, which is extremely sharp and extremely useful. Nice little pull on that too. So there you are. It's telling you again on it that it's 01. It's made in 01 2001, and a lovely little pen blade. And again, it's got a lovely point on it. Really beautiful. I just sharpened this yesterday, and it really is like a little razor to have in your pocket. I love it. But again, I paid under £100. I don't think it was much under £100 for this. Now, whether I paid too much or not, I have no idea. I'm sure it didn't cost that in 2001, but this is not 2001. And it's, this is a 23-year-old knife that looks as good as it did on the day that it came from the factory. And I love the fact of that. I just think it is fantastic. But this has turned into a user, because I don't know whether you remember a couple of weeks ago I was talking about that I'm 65-year-old, and to have knives I'm not going to use in my collection seems a bit silly. Realistically, how long have I got to keep in these knives, and what am I going to do? Keep them all? I have nobody that wants them. None of my grandkids or none of my kids want them at the moment. Sorry about my dogs. The wife's just gone out. This is something that I've started to carry. You've seen it on my Instagram. By the way, go on Instagram and follow me on there if you like. I show quite a lot of, nearly daily on there. I will put something up, usually my daily carry. It's worth doing it. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. It really makes a big difference to all our channels. And subscribe costs no money. All it does is let you know when I've put another video up. That's it. It doesn't change from that. You never get asked to do anything else. You're just a subscriber who'll get to know when we make a program. But anyway, back to the knife. I digress as normal. So this knife I just think is beautiful. And I've been using it and carrying it now this last week off and on. And I'm so enjoying bringing this out. Bringing this out, I was slicing the dog's um, kiln-dried duck. Kiln-dried's probably not the right thing, but anyway, the dried duck. And it's tough old duck to cut when it's like that. Um, and just the joy of bringing this out and cutting it and not worrying about it because it's a user now. But I'm buying something that is a bit older. It's an unusual piece, but sitting in my drawer over there, I get no advantage other than looking at it. And it was becoming that it wasn't enough. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do with all these? So now I'm just using everything. There's one knife I'm not using. Now, I would use it if I had to, not a problem. But it's my really expensive one. It's £900 worth of knife to me. To buy a new one is it's over £1,200 now from a Brazilian maker, Romano. So I'm not using it. But there's knives you can buy. This is just under £100. I believe it's somewhere around the £90 I paid for it. And I don't regret it for a second because I think it is just a super knife, $10.95, cheaper than I can buy a GEC, but yet it is the quality of a higher end GEC. It really has. Same steel, but a difference. This is an upgrade, if you like, from the basic Tidiute because you get extra things with it, like the long pull and the mat strike, and just everything about it is just beautiful. So the lesson I'm trying to give across, if you've got a channel and you want to upgrade, or if you've just started and you're making a collection, one, do not go above your budget because it's a nightmare to get back again. You'll never catch up. Don't go above your budget, but also really try buying secondhand. So where do I buy secondhand? eBay. Very rare over here, very hard to get over here, but Etsy over here, I can pick up my second-hand knives. A lot of the more cheaper versions, the older antique type ones, I'll get on Etsy. But the biggest place is joining Facebook groups. Now, I'm not a chitterbox, as you know, but I like to go into the groups and I'll show my knives. And there's a couple of groups that I show my knives that I'm carrying nearly every day. But I don't get involved in a whole lot of chat because that's just not me. I'm just not a chat person on the interweb. I've never been used to it and I've never got used to it. Even after 7 years on YouTube, I'm still not a chatterbox. I pop in and out every now and then. But that's where you get the knives. That's where you'll get the good standard knives. That's where you're going to buy from people who are more trustworthy because you can see they give you a rating when you're in a group, and if you've bought and sold in the group, your rating goes up. So it's a great way to cut down that risk of getting a bad deal because bad deals are out there. And if something's really too good to be true, the fact is 9 times out of 10, it really is too good to be true. But when I can buy in a group like I bought this in, I knew the people in the group. I had no problems. I was going to get a good knife. It was exactly what it was explained to me. It's now starting to see the 1095 starting to go grey, and you're getting wee marks. There was a wee mark on the little blade. I seen the pictures of all it before I got, so I knew exactly what I was getting. But it's a 23-year-old knife. Do you know what I mean? It's not a puppy anymore. It's now in its teenage years, but it's perfect for use. It's perfect for my use. It's perfect for my carry. It's a proud carry. It's a word I use quite a lot, but it's a proud carry. It's one that I bring out and love to. People like to see knives like this. Not many people want to see this knife, although it's called the Spidey Chef. But you bring that out in public and people don't want to see it, whether it's in public or in the house. That's not what they're looking for. They like pen knives. And just so happens, so do I. So they get an eyeful and they'll get plenty more if they want to see them. But this is, again, a beautiful knife. But you can get a £340 knife for £200. Do you know what I mean? So they're out there. Look for the deals. Look for the deals. But I found the best deals I've ever got. The best deals I've got with security is buying on Facebook groups that I belong to. And again, you don't have to go in and talk all the time. I add pictures. I join into what's going on. If there's a wee theme running, I'll put a theme of knives up. But, I'm just not an interactor. I love looking at other people's knives on the groups. that's where I get to see a lot. When I see one, I think, I really want one of them. And then I start looking. And that's the other joy, is the hunt. But I'll have to say, I'm using all my knives now because I just think, what is the point? Do you know what I mean? And if I sell them used, I lose a couple of quid. So what? I've had the privilege of having that knife in my hand and used it and enjoyed it. And then I sell it on. Take a bit of a bath. Yeah, all right. But I'll get something else. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not going to be spending the full price of a knife. I'll be trading this for, if I was ever to trade this, which I can never see because I just love it. I maybe take a little bath when I'm doing the trade on what I paid for it, but then I'm only paying maybe a third of a price for another knife of that standard that this was when it came. So it's a win-win, and it takes an awful lot of pressure of trying to get the more expensive higher end knives. So there you go, finished Paddy's Waffle lesson for today. Just be sensible when you're buying, and if anybody wants to have a chat or talk to me about it in the comments, please do, because I'll just answer you as honest as I can, because that's what I do. I mean, I don't give you a 15-page essay like I do with my mouth. You get very brief answers on a comment section. But there you go. I love my hobby. And now that I'm starting to use knives like this, I've used this from the beginning because it was already used. But now that I'm using knives like this, which was just a joy to get, but using it has lifted it above, same as this. They've lifted them above what they are, because when you use them, they are a tool. They are your tool, and you bring that out with pride. And that's what I do. When I do these knives, that's what I do. They're out with pride, not showing off, just pride of ownership that I've got these. And now that I use them, it's amazing. Amazing. Lovely feeling to put this just in my pocket to do everyday tasks. Right, I'm away. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you so much. Sorry I went on a wee bit, but I always do. Take care now. Bye.